Hey, what's up everyone? Zach D Productions here, and I'm here for a versus video for you guys. Now for this versus video, we're going to talk about two bands that are in the progressive rock genre, and those two bands are Genesis and Rush. Now the two albums that we'll be talking about in this video are Abacab from Genesis and Moving Pictures from Rush. Now, what do these two albums have in common? Well, they're both prog rock bands, of course, and they both released on the same year, 1981. So let's first go ahead and talk about Abacab first, from Genesis. Overall, I do like this album. I think it is a pretty strong Genesis album. I know that the 80s era of Genesis does get a lot of crap from the hardcore Genesis fans, mainly the ones that prefer their 70s prog rock stuff. And look, I get it. I'm sure it was a drastic change around this time, and it was a drastic change, actually. I mean, they went from being super proggy and everything to, sounding like every other band in the 80s. I'm sure it was just a drastic change for a lot of fans, but of course they were just going with the times and everything. And I think maybe because of that, because of the synth driven stuff that's on this album, it may not hold up as well for some fans to this day. But overall, I actually do like this album. I think it is a pretty good album. There's some very good stuff on this album, I think. I do like the title track, No Reply at All, which is hands down one of the best songs on here. Keep It Dark, Man on the Corner, Like It or Not. There's some solid stuff on here, I think. So I think it is a very solid 80s era Genesis album. And if you didn't like it at first listen, please give it another chance. I think it's worthy of another chance. And I think the songwriting itself is pretty good. Phil Collins sounds pretty good on here as well. I mean, again, it is more mainstream, more poppy type driven stuff. But overall, I do like the album. It's a very strong Genesis album. But as for Moving Pictures by Rush, I love this album. This is one of my favorite albums of all time, and I've said that before, and I'll continue to say it. Moving Pictures is one of my favorite albums of all time. This is one of those albums that I would consider a 10 out of 10, in my personal opinion. There's not a single weak moment on this album. I think every song is good. I mean, just going through the track listing, you got Tom Sawyer, which is one of their biggest songs, maybe even their biggest song. It's usually the song that people know the most, even if you're not a fan of Rush. I'm sure you've at least heard Tom Sawyer. Red Barchetta, which is a very good song as well. YYZ. You got Limelight. This is another fan favorite, another single, another song that even if you're not a fan of Rush, I'm sure you have heard this one. Very commercial sounding, very radio friendly for sure. That does get a lot of radio play for sure. The Camera Eye, which I think is kind of underrated. It's basically the epic on this album, and I do like it. It's a solid song. You also got Witch Hunt and Vital Signs, which are also good songs. But yeah, there's not a single weak moment on this album, in my opinion. It's just, all in all, a very strong album from Rush. So, I mean, I think my choice is pretty clear. I think my choice is pretty obvious. The winner of this video has got to go to Moving Pictures by Rush. Now, with that said, I do like Abacab. I think Abacab is a very strong Genesis album, a very solid 80s era Genesis album. I do enjoy that album. I do like that album, but the winner for me has to go to Moving Pictures by Rush. So let me know what you think. Which album do you like more, Abacab by Genesis or Moving Pictures by Rush? I do like both albums, but, when it comes to these versus videos, you gotta pick one, you gotta pick one. But let me know which one you prefer. Feel free to let me know in the comments. So with that said, thank you for watching, take care, and have a good one.